today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the PutSalesforce.com and Overdrive with Noble Sales Automation conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you need assistance during the call, please press star, then 0, and an operator will come back online to assist you. Thank you. Mr. Jeff Fontenot, you may begin your conference.
Well, welcome, everybody. I appreciate the time investment today for the webinar. And my name is Jeff Fontenot. I'm the Global Director of Business Development and SMB Inside Sales for Noble Systems. Joining me today is Josh Wilsey, Solution Engineer, has been with the organization for nearly a decade, and subject matter expert specialist in Salesforce.com integrations.
Thanks for the introductions, Jeff. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
So, during the webinar today, we'll cover the Noble Salesforce integration, a high-level solution overview, including Sales Cloud and Service Cloud integration, as well as record selection, list transfer, and software touch points. We'll also have frequently asked questions that we've received during the time that we've presented this solution, as well as at the end, we will have a Q&A session. So this is a housekeeping point. You should see in the command bar across the top of your screen a Q&A button, or you're able to click on that, and submit your questions that we will receive and answer at the end of the presentation. Josh, at this time, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. So today we're going to be talking about a Noble integration with Salesforce OpenCTI toolkit. As everybody knows, the world is going away from a lot of the thick client desktop applications. A lot of things are in the cloud. Most everything is on the web these days. The OpenCTI toolkit is Salesforce's new toolkit designed to bring those kind of applications into the cloud, embedding other applications into Salesforce for use, for integration and use and collaboration. So Noble's, what we've done is we've built a toolkit, a Noble integration for the CTI toolkit that's browser agnostic, it's platform agnostic, and it's telephony agnostic. It doesn't matter if you're a premise customer of Noble's, a cloud customer of Noble's. How you get your Noble system to your agents isn't a problem. The web-based interface we built will allow you to link into your Salesforce applications and integrate with those in a real tight manner, and we're going to show you more about that today.
Right. So even existing Salesforce.com users who purchase the Noble OpenCTI integration have the ability to either implement the Noble platform, something platform, either premise or in a cloud-based environment.
That's right. So this graphic illustrates the way that Noble Enterprise Contact Center interacts with Salesforce.com and the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud applications. It all happens through your agent desktop and the agent's browser. And that browser can be any browser, any platform like we discussed on the last slide. But basically that browser is going to house the OpenCTI integration with the web-based agent controls for Noble systems in the same browser window. And that's going to be, OpenCTI has the advantage of supporting the same call controls consistently through both the Sales Cloud and the Service Cloud.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about this as we go forward, but essentially all of that functionality embedded in the Salesforce.com user interface.
That's right.
Great.
So this is a list of the currently available agent functions that come with the Noble Salesforce integration. So in keeping with the standards and design principles for the OpenCTI toolkit, the configuration changes, things like that happen in toolbar options you see are managed inside the Noble application.
So Josh, in my experience as a inside sales director, sales manager, some of the critical functionalities, such as call recording. Call recording is extremely important in terms of, from an operations point of view, in terms of understanding, has training, knowledge transfer really taken place? So are the things that I'm teaching my sales reps, are they actually implementing those things? There's also in some industries there's some compliancy issues, right, that you want to be aware of, and also perhaps the regulations to not record calls in certain areas. Can you explain to us how this functionality, call recording, works within the OpenCTI integration for Salesforce?
Absolutely. So the Noble OpenCTI integration from Salesforce is going to allow you to log in and take a call as a normal Noble agent would. So we're going to record the call if you so choose to. If you choose to record that call, we'll record the call on every connect, and we will continue to record that call through the duration of the call. We also have capability to exclude certain states, certain areas, if there are laws about recording, if there are certain indications you have to read off to the customer before recording, things of that nature. We also have the capability to, all of this information, all the recordings, all that stuff is fed back to Noble. So in your Noble application, you're still going to be able to play your files back, do quality assurance on those applications, and use any speech analytics products that you may have on those call recordings as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Another thing I think it's vital to inside sales teams is this ability for dial now. What we call dial now, in reality, that's the ability to make a manual dial in an automated environment. So the Noble platform automates the contact process. But again, as a manager of people who are on the phone selling products every day, with inbound, outbound environments, people calling in, outbound calls, multiple attempts to reach the right contact, inevitably a sales account manager will have to dial a number that may not exist in the list. So you contact, you attempt to contact the prospect, and the contact person answers the phone and says, well, I'm sorry, but he's at a different number. Dial this number. How does the dial now functionality enable those sales account managers to continue the contact process right away?
It's a great question. We're going to talk a little bit more about the dial now functionality in a few minutes. But to answer your question really quickly, the Noble CTI integration allows you to not only choose a button in your toolbar and enter a free-form number, so you can dial whatever number you're hearing someone tell you over the phone. It also supports Salesforce.com's integrated click-to-call functionality. So if you have a phone number associated with that record, it'll have a little phone icon next to it. You click it, and that's going to go ahead and schedule your next call to be that number.
All right, I think you're going to get into that a little bit more detail as we move through the presentation. Right along with a dial now or new dial or callbacks. Listen, I have a global team of resources making hundreds of phone calls every day, and boy, it would be great if every one of those resulted in a right party contact with the decision maker on the other end, but honestly that doesn't happen. So callbacks are absolutely a part of reality. How does the Noble CTI integration support that functionality, Josh?
So it's just another toolbar option we do have where you can click on schedule callback, and you'll get an interface to go ahead and schedule when you'd like to call that particular number back. Now, those callbacks can be agent-specific, so if I own an account and I want to make sure I call that number back and only me, I can schedule the callback for myself. I also have the capability to schedule a callback for an entire sales team. So if someone is available at the time the call back needs to be made, anybody can have that call.
Yeah, that's really important when you look at service cloud integration. So you may have teams of customer service agents or support agents that need to make a callback to resolve an issue. And given that all that data exists in Salesforce.com, anybody on that team could make that call, and it's automated. So but managers have the ability to see the global callback schedule and can manage that appropriately, right?
That's right. All the Noble tools for scheduling or for managing of your scheduled callbacks are available with this. So you can come in and change the date or the time or reassign a scheduled callback from one rep to another.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, sales reps, unfortunately, may not come to work on a rainy day or snowy day, or not come back to the position at all. So you have to have that ability to maintain the contact process. Great.
So when an agent goes in the morning to log into their Salesforce application, built right into the Salesforce window, they're going to have a toolbar on the left side, and that's our Noble OpenCTI toolbar, where they're going to enter their username and their password. They're going to select a group, and they're going to go ahead and enter an extension so we can call them back on a soft phone, right? So that information, once they log in, once they log in to the Noble Salesforce application, they're going to go ahead and show up in all the standard Noble Enterprise tools for managers. You kind of see one of those on the right side of their agent station's view.
So on the left side of the screen is the actual CTI integration. That's the Noble call, the Noble login for the agent. What is Harmony?
So Harmony is a real-time tool. It's a web-based tool built for the Noble Enterprise Contact Center solution. So that's the interface that our Noble management supervisors, managers of the call center, log into to view what's happening in their call center in real time. Now that can also be put on a wallboard. So a lot of people do that. It's also web-based, so it can be used on iPads. Can be used on Android tablets, anything with a web browser is going to be able to view the Harmony wallboard, and they're going to be able to see what's happening in real time in their call center.
As well as monitor those agents in terms of audio.
That's absolutely right. So that's the other big feature of the agent stations view in Harmony is you're able to select a particular agent and monitor them, monitor their call. You're able to coach them and talk directly to the agent, or actually barge in and take control of the call on both sides.
That's fantastic. Great.
So what we have here is an example. I'm sorry, hang on a second.
There we go.
There it is. So what we have here is an example of an outbound screen pop. So that outbound screen pop is what happens when we got connected to a call here. So we're connected to the call. The OpenCTI toolbar is going to change to reflect that we're connected, that we have a record associated with it, we have the lead type, all of the information associated. It's also going to change or navigate your Salesforce.com window over to the account you're calling, right? And this can happen not only on an outbound screen pop. This is the same effect that'll have, the same workflow that'll happen on an inbound call, on a callback. Anytime you make contact with a customer with the Noble CTI toolbar, will navigate you over to that record.
Right. So on the left side of the screen, the call control options are available to the agent to hang up the call, terminate the call, schedule callbacks, transfer hold. We're going to do that manual dial we talked about.
That's right. So this is, just again, it's part of their workflow. Then they log in, they'll come off pause, they'll click resume, and they'll be put into their agent workflow. They'll get the next call, and they have a number of options available to them for what to do next as a part of that workflow.
Right. So it appears to me that very simple interface. You're leveraging the knowledge already exists in terms of operating or working with the Salesforce.com application and have this call control, which is very simple. So it appears to me that the learning curve is pretty low for agents to use the technology.
That's right. So we're not asking agents to learn a whole new application and tool set. We're just adding call control to what they already do in the system of record that exists. And that goes for not only the agents, but managers as well. We're just adding call control and enterprise contact center solution controls into the existing Salesforce infrastructure.
Right. So in the previous stream, we talked about how agents log in, and that audio path that they log in is either directed to their existing desktop telephone and or some other method.
That's right. They could be directed to their desktop telephone. It can be directed to a soft phone. It can be really directed to anything you can make a call to. The soft phone, a lot of people opt for that because, again, we're talking about web-based cloud solutions. People like to get a voice-over IP call direct to their PC so that they can use their headset attached to their PC and talk directly to that customer.
Great.
So we talked a little bit earlier about manual dial call and making manual dial calls. One of the options on the left-hand toolbar that we just saw was the option to select and make a manual dial. You'll see on the left-hand OpenCTI toolbar on this screen. Now, what that does is it pops up the Dial Now interface where we're able to enter text or numbers for a free-form phone number. If someone's giving you the phone number where to reach someone, you enter that information in that box, you click dial, and then the next call that you get in the system will be that Dial Now. Additionally, Additionally, we do support the ability to use Salesforce's integrated click-to-call capabilities. You see the phone number on the screen is underlined. It has a little phone icon next to it. That indicates to the agent that they can click that phone number, and the next call they get will be placed to that phone number.
Yeah, that's critical. Every contact record in our database has multiple phone numbers. We have an office phone, we have a mobile phone, have a variety of phone numbers. The thing I'd like to point out, though, Josh, is that in the Dial Now window, the main part of the screen with the red square around it, the Dial Now format, the default here is U.S., but we support multinational dialing. So,
absolutely.
So if I were launching a call out from the U.S. to, say, the U.K., we would support that format as well, correct?
That's right. And it's just a selectable option. You drop down that box and you select which country, which Dial Now format, or what's the formatting for the outbound call for international.
Sounds great. I mean, in today's environment, multinational dialing is reality.
So one of the really critical and key features of this integration back to Salesforce from Noble CTI is the ability to automatically update your Salesforce.com activity history. So every time you make a phone call through your Noble Open CTI interface, that information is kept and logged in Salesforce.com's activity history. So any notes, any information you capture is stored in that record. Any comments you make, and the fact that you made that call.
So listen, what keeps sales managers awake at night is that are our sales teams actually making this contact to the right people at the right time? In the past, we would hope that the information that they provided in our CRM and Salesforce.com was accurate. They actually made the phone call. They actually completed the activity in Salesforce.com. But they're really difficult to match those records up with perhaps the phone system that we currently have in place to see, did that really occur? It's absolutely critical to have real information. It's absolutely critical that we make all those calls. As a sales manager, when I look at all this data, how can I visualize this information? How can I see this in real time, what's going on in my environment?
That's a great question. It leads into the fact that Salesforce.com has built-in dashboard, built-in reporting that can be built, and they can use that activity history. So any charts and graphs you need to create to determine what's really happening, who's really making phone calls, who's making contact, that can be done with built-in reports that already exist in Salesforce.com.
Yes, it's powerful, the ability to automate the sales process, remove the manual processes, remove that kind of human error possibility, and then have reality-based reports and heads-up displays that allow you to manage the process on a reality-based information.
Yeah, and that's not to say that it doesn't already. The same canned reports that are available for the Noble Enterprise solution also apply to any contacts made in the Noble Open CTI environment as well.
Absolutely.
So contact center agents, the options that they see on their screen, those options are configured using our standard tools for our Noble Composer Designer application. It's as easy as setting a true or false flag on the right side of the screen. So once you have a campaign or group and you've got that into Salesforce.com, you can open it up and choose whether or not that agent is going to be able to place a call on hold, do a manual dial call, record the call, hang up the call. There's plenty of options, as you can see on the right-hand side. Lots of different things that can be set up to do, but you can also restrict access to a lot of these features.
So, if I understand correctly, non-technical resources at an end-user site can use this tool to configure the call control that allows agents to do certain things within a call record, as you said, perhaps do a dial now, hang up a call, hold, transfer a call, or skip a call, perhaps.
Schedule a call back.
Schedule a call back, yeah.
Plenty of features, and all of this is easy to configure as answering a yes or no question.
Yeah, that's great.
So Noble Systems created a really tight integration for data that allows users to create calling lists in Salesforce.com and then have those Salesforce.com campaigns automatically imported into the Noble Contact Center database. So all that the user, the manager in this outbound sales team is going to need to do is create a Salesforce campaign and have their records imported into Salesforce. That information from Salesforce is going to be transferred over to the Noble Contact Center database, and campaigns are going to be created, lists are going to be created, and then the list ID for that Salesforce.com campaign is going to go back into Salesforce so we can keep track of what's being dialed and where.
Yeah, again, very simple interface on the Salesforce side to create the campaign. So it's kind of a Ronco approach, if you will. Set it and forget it. Create the group in Salesforce. That information is sent back to the telephony engine for sales automation, contact automation, and then feeds back information, keeps it in sync with the campaign that you created in Salesforce.com.
That's right. So when you're creating a campaign for use in the Noble Systems Contact Center platform, just a user with appropriate permissions to set up a campaign in Salesforce is going to navigate to their campaign tab in Salesforce. They're either going to edit an existing campaign or they're going to create a new campaign. And if they're integrated with the Noble CTI application, they're going to have a few new options available to them on the screen for their campaign, right? The first one, obviously, is telling Salesforce.com whether or not that particular campaign is a Noble Systems telephony campaign. So if you check that box for Noble Systems telephony campaign, it's going to automatically know that it needs to import those records using our web services interface back from Salesforce.com into the Noble Systems dialing platform. So once you have that box checked, Noble Systems is going to know that campaign came from Salesforce, and it's going to use another web services interface to send list IDs back and populate that field that says Noble List on this screen. So you have the correct list ID, so you know for all of any other settings you may want to have which list is associated with which Salesforce campaign.
Sure, for tracking, measuring, monitoring.
Absolutely, right. and for reporting really is you can go back and find a specific Salesforce.com campaign based on that list
sure.
ID.
Measure success, measure opportunities to perhaps make change to the campaign. Again, very simple, nearly a zero learning curve in terms of how non-technical frontline sales management teams, perhaps, or operation folks can create campaigns and implement them effectively with zero time frame.
At this point, we've said we answer some yes no questions, and you check one checkbox, and you've got a campaign configured with options back to the Noble Systems system.
Very nice.
Additionally, on the screen, you'll notice the third field that we didn't discuss. There's a field that says immediately dial updates. What that allows you to do is have any new updates or any new records in the middle of the day that are sent back from from Salesforce back to Noble. Those records can be dialed immediately. They can be sent to the front of the queue, which is really going to affect how you obviously don't want to be dialing your old records. You want to dial the latest and greatest stuff.
Well, speed delete is absolutely critical in inside sales. First person that makes the call gets the deal in most cases. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So similarly, for an inbound call, we had our data integration for outbound calling, where Noble and Salesforce are tightly integrated. For an inbound call, anytime you receive an inbound call, if you can identify, if we have the information for that caller, if we have the record ID, whether we take that in an IVR or we pass it back and look for that phone number in Salesforce, if we have that match, we're going to go ahead and pass that information over to Salesforce.com, and we're going to display that record as a screen pop when the inbound call comes in. Let's say that the agent gets a call from a caller that is using an alternate phone. They're using their cell phone, and we don't have that cell phone in our database for Salesforce or for Noble, that we just don't know what record that's associated with. They'll be presented a screen to do an inbound lookup or request to search for that record, and once they have associated that record, they can then add that phone number to that record, right? And they'll get the appropriate screen pop.
Well, that's very useful to build an additional contact number for a given contact. So if I understand correctly, somebody calls my inside sales team. If that caller ID, or if they've gone through the IVR and they've entered in perhaps an account number, if that record exists in Salesforce at the time that my sales rep receives the audio of the call, they are also presented with the Salesforce.com account screen.
That's right.
Okay.
So just like our outbound screen pop, when they receive the inbound call, if we know who that caller is, we can associate it back to an account. They'll receive that inbound screen pop, and if not, they'll be able to search for it.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So that automates the inbound process, presents the record. It reduces the amount of time required to do record lookups and automate. So a great efficiency gain.
That's right.
Okay, well, thanks, Josh. That was fantastic. I appreciate that. So let's go through some frequently asked questions that we typically get when doing the presentations, and then we'll open up the QA session. So we have a couple of questions queued up. We'll get to that at the end of the session here.
Okay.
So, Josh, can leads move from campaign A to B, campaign B, and does the call list update when this occurs?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. If a campaign has a record, but you call on that record, and for whatever reason you're no longer able, or it's no longer qualified to call on that record, Noble Systems can automatically exclude that record from being called again on the first campaign. But also automatically, if that action that you've done on that record qualifies it for another campaign, we can go ahead and automatically import and automatically bring that record into the new list, so that you can dial on a separate account, separate group of agents, separate workflow.
So it could be, as an example, it could be a campaign, an outbound campaign to qualify records for a second round call. Once that record was qualified, it automatically becomes available for campaign B or the next round calling, and excluded from the original.
That's right. So if you're in your Salesforce database, we're updating activity, we're updating what's happening, and we're updating dispositions. So if you have a call in campaign A and you qualified that record, that is now a qualified record, and qualified records don't get called by the qualifiers. They get called by the people who follow up on that.
Right.
So your record is going to automatically transition based on that disposition code from one bucket into the next.
So you're gaining productivity and efficiencies through the automation, the exclusion of the record. On the other side, you're also increasing customer experience, but you're not participating in those calls.
Exactly.
Great. So the next question, how does call scripting work in Salesforce.com?
So there's a couple of different answers to this, and I think both of these questions, kind of the reason they're on the same screen, is they fall together. There's a basic scripting functionality existing in Salesforce.com. It's called Visual Workflow, but that does require the use of the Service Cloud. But the good news is that it doesn't matter if you use Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, as long as you're using the Noble OpenCTI integration, you're able to simultaneously use the Salesforce.com OpenCTI integration and our Noble Composer Agent desktop software, which allows a full environment for call scripting and integrating with other systems and any other call scripting workflow events you want to do.
Typical implementations for OpenCTI integration, usually the Salesforce.com user interface is the primary, right?
That's right.
If I understand correctly, then the advanced functionality of the Noble platform, their scripting environment, allows you to create very complex workflow.
That's right. And so, if you wanted to go beyond just having a screen pop in Salesforce.com where they could view the record and see what the activity history and notes and all those kind of things about that record, if you wanted to go a step further and have a fully customizable application with scripting and with,
right.
Any other data you wanted to bring in, we could do that with the Noble Composer Agent desktop software.
Great. Very good. So next question, how much of the agent reporting would be done in Noble reports, versus Salesforce.com?
So today the Salesforce.com database is going to house your sales figures, other data that are pulled, and anything basically that's stored in Salesforce.com. Salesforce.com is still your system of record for those accounts and what's happening with those accounts. And even the call history, like we discussed through activity history, that's going to be stored in Salesforce.com. But detailed call statistics, like how many calls you're making in a given period of time, campaign reports, agent reports, list reports, those kind of things can come from the standard reporting available from Noble Systems.
As a user of the technology myself in a real-world operation managing inside sales teams, it's absolutely an advantage for me to have those sets of reports to see the reality of what's going on, to measure the effectiveness of my campaign, the contact rate, and so forth. Absolutely a powerful, powerful tool. So Josh, that concludes the frequently asked questions. We'll go ahead and open up the questions submitted by the participants. We have several here. So the first question, Josh, is, let's see, going back to the options, can these be configured independently by specific groups? Examples, sales teams versus support teams.
Absolutely. So let's go back and take a look at that, the call control configuration screen. So each one of the campaigns you configure in Salesforce.com can be associated with a group, and each group can have its own set of properties, essentially, its own set of true or false questions, or whether or not you can do certain things like transfer, schedule a call back, hang up on the call. All those controls they're not universal. They're set per group.
So they're group specific.
Absolutely.
So that the call control bar is customized based on the work effort defined for that specific group. Great.
Right.
Next question. You mentioned soft phones. What does this mean, and can you expand, please?
So soft phone would be the alternative to your desktop phone we call a hard phone. A soft phone exists in software only. So you plug a headset and a microphone into your PC, and you launch the soft phone application, and that is now your telephone in software, and you talk through your PC. If you've ever used Skype, it's kind of like that.
Great. So that extends capabilities for remote agents to tie them into the program.
That's right.
All the while having the call path, the audio path routed to the telephony engine. Last question, who do I contact for more information? I'll take that question, Josh. It's a perfect one for me. So you can always visit our website at www.noblesystems.com for more information, as well as for those participants. We'll reach out to you after the webinar as a follow-up call. We appreciate everyone taking the time today to visit with us. I hope it was beneficial to you. We look forward to speaking with you directly in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect. Presenters, please hold.